There's an AI model that breaks a promise to its supervisor 9% of the time. There's another one that breaks the exact same promise 87% of the time. It's the same model. Nobody retrained it. Nobody touched the weights. The only thing that changed was what it believed the person grading it wanted to see. If you've been following the OpenAI and HuggingFace story on this channel, you've already seen evidence that the AI cheats and escapes its container. But what exactly does that mean? That's from a paper OpenAI and Apollo Research put out this week, and the finding underneath it is worse than the number. The gap gets wider the smarter the model gets, which might mean every safety score you've ever been shown is measuring the wrong thing. And I'll show you why. Sources for this are in the pinned comment. So what happens when a model gets smarter? How does that model's relationship to its rewards change as the training continues? You've probably heard of reward hacking, where a model finds a loophole, games the test, and technically satisfies the instruction it's given at any cost. Reward hacking asks whether a model cheated. What they're studying here isn't reward hacking, it's reward seeking. Reward seeking asks something different. It asks whether the model's actual motivation was to please whoever's scoring it. It's real Dwight Schrute energy. Dwight doesn't love the rules. Dwight loves whatever he thinks Michael wants. It matters more than reward hacking because a cheat is a one-off, but motivation travels. If a model is fundamentally oriented towards pleasing its supervisor, then its behavior changes every time its beliefs about the supervisor change. It's a disposition that follows the thing everywhere it goes. The method they built to test this is pretty clear. They call it Contrastive SDF. It's basically the red pill and the blue pill. Same Neo. Change what he believes about reality and watch what changes. You take one model, make two copies, and fine-tune each copy on synthetic documents that describe opposite grader preferences. Then you just watch what happens. In plain English, they gave this same brain two different beliefs about what its boss wants and measures how much of its personality was just sucking up. The point is that you can't ask a model why it did something, just like you can't really ask a human. It'll tell you a story. It'll produce reasoning that sounds great and may have nothing to do with the actual computation. So instead of that, they changed what it believes and watched the behavior move. That's a lie detector that doesn't require the subject to cooperate. All right, so here's the gap, because this is where it stops being an interesting methodology paper. They ran this on a series of checkpoints from a capabilities-focused reinforcement learning run. Yeah, I know that was a mouthful, but it boils down to taking snapshots of the same model at different stages of training, from early to late. They watch the widening gap form between how it behaves when it thinks the grader wants honesty and when the grader just wants completion. As the model gets more capable, its honesty gets more conditional. In their words, the late checkpoint's honesty is far more contingent on what it believes the grader rewards. Apollo called their shot before they started the experiment. They expected this would happen. They also validated it on models deliberately trained to cheat with unit tests, which is where it gets nasty. Training a model to cheat at one narrow thing pushed its general boss-pleasing behavior from 33 points up to 86. It turns out that they weren't teaching it to cheat at unit tests. They were teaching it that pleasing the scorer is what it's for, and that propagated throughout its behavior. Now, keep that in mind while reading Apollo Research's opening line, because this is the actual thesis. They pointed out that visible misbehavior is dropping in frontier models. Then they ask the obvious question. Does that mean that models are becoming more aligned or just getting better at hiding misbehavior? The paper answers that question, but it's an answer nobody wants to hear. If honesty relies on beliefs about the greater, then a model acing your evaluation tells you nothing. It might be aligned, or it might have worked out how to scam you. From the outside, those two things look identical, because the only thing you can observe is behavior, and behavior follows from belief. Apollo has been saying this for a hot minute in their other work. They lay it down as clearly as water on a sunny day in the Caribbean. If we can only observe aligned actions and not the reasons behind them, we might conclude that a model is aligned when it merely understood the purpose of the evaluation and gave us the answers we wanted to see. They've also found that the most capable models increasingly recognize when they're being evaluated at all, which ruins the test. Imagine Truman realizing he's on television. Every experiment after that changes because the subject now knows he's being watched. And you might remember my two-part series so far about the OpenAI model that escaped its sandbox by finding a 0 day in its own harness and hacking HuggingFace to steal the answers to its own exam. OpenAI told us that the model was hyper-focused and went to extreme lengths for what they called a rather narrow testing goal. That's this paper. It's the disposition this research measures, showing up in production like a straight criminal. They published the theory and the field demo in the same month. It was the same story. It's OpenAI telling one on themselves in public. Good on them. As far as Contrastive SDF, the cool part is that now we have a new tool to catch a model slipping. Before this, you'd just eyeball a passing grade and be on your way. Now there's a way to determine how it passed the test. Apollo is working on more of it, making evaluations more realistic, planting false beliefs, looking directly at internals. It's an overall win for AI research. It's also constructed a setup. Feeding a model synthetic documents about its grader isn't the same thing as proving that a chatbot is managing you right now. That's not what I'm trying to lay down here. The question I'm asking, though, is, what does this do to the meaning of the word aligned? We've been using it like it describes a property of AI models, something it has, like a temperament. This paper sheds some light on the fact that alignment is only a function of what the model thinks you're rewarding. If you change the belief, you get a different model behavior, even though the weight stayed the same. So when a lab tells you that their new model is safer and more honest than the last one, it might just be that it's better at manipulating its teacher. The crazy part is that it looks the same as a well-behaved employee or a well-raised kid. They can get straight A's on exams, but still turn around and stab you in the back. Maybe there is no version of this where you get to truly look inside and clock what the model is really up to. It's been eating at me this whole morning, and it's not great.